All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to our graduation tonight. We are super excited to have all of you here as we recognize these amazing individuals and what they've done over the last 1 to 3 years. I am Brandon Mickelson. I am the program director of the family medicine residency here, and will be functioning a little bit as an MC tonight as we move through this. I am super excited to be wearing my bow tie. We have started a tradition where the graduates get to choose my bow tie, and so this is the wonderful bow tie that they chose. It was actually Jess. I don't think I told you this. Jess had handed it to me, but this was my first time with a real bow tie. I just had clip-ons prior to this, and so had some serious fun trying to figure it out, and eventually got there with some help from one of my daughters. So anyway, wonderful to have everybody here with us tonight. We really like to start off graduation by making sure that we recognize the wonderful support that we have. We are very much a three-legged stool at this residency, and when it comes to education and finances and really everything that this residency has to do with. And so these graduates absolutely would not be in the position that they are in today, and this residency would not be without the three names that you see before you there. Idaho State University, Portneuf Medical Center, and Health West. And so Rex Force is kind of our main source of contact at ISU, and he unfortunately was unable to be here today, but sends his love and appreciation and congratulations to the graduates. Our next is Portneuf Medical Center, and I just realized, and I apologize, is Nate out there? Oh, there he is. Thank you. Sorry, I was looking for everybody and realized I had not found you. And so Nate Carter is here representing Portneuf Medical Center. And so let's just start with a big round of applause for Portneuf Medical Center. And I will invite Nate to come forward, and he's got a few words to share, and so grateful for him being here and their support. So.
Thank you. I did not prepare a lot of things, but I wanted to share a couple of thoughts with you. Again, as Dr. Mickelson said, my name is Nate Carter. I'm one of the administrators at the hospital. So the part of all of this that I play is very, very, very small. I'm an Idaho native. My wife, who is here, and I have lived across the country, literally from coast to coast. But we've been back in Idaho for 3 years now, and have just absolutely loved it. And we are going to try to stay here for as long as we can. Kind of a different question, but are there any 7-year-olds in the audience? Anybody that's 6, 7, or 8 years old out there? Anybody close? 1, 2. Almost. 3, 4, 5. So you guys are not going to remember any of this, but I was in your seats 27 years ago when my dad was doing what your dad or your mom is doing today, which is finishing their residency. It's been a long 27 years. I got to see the good things, the bad things that my dad experienced as a physician, but the good far, far outweighed all the long nights and all the training and all of the call that he took. In fact, I saw Dr. Call here today. Where's Dr. Call?
Up there to your left.
Dr. Call. So my dad was a cardiologist in Boise that used to send patients to and from this Dr. Call. So I say all this because my dad's last day of clinic is this coming Wednesday. He's retiring, and so it's kind of full circle for me to be able to be here with all of you brand new residency graduates while he's just finishing his clinical practice. Our community is so fortunate to have this program. I don't think most people in Pocatello and Southeast Idaho realize what we have here at Idaho State University and at Portneuf Medical Center. In fact, most people don't really even think about healthcare until they really, really need it. And to have a solid base of professionals and physicians that are ready for those people when that time comes is a huge thing for our entire region. In fact, my personal physician is an ISU graduate, ISU residency graduate, Dr. Webster, and he is a phenomenal clinician. Our hospital is so fortunate to have an association with ISU. We have pharmacists, we have therapists, nurses, radiographers, leaders that are coming straight out of schooling at Idaho State University. So fortunate to have them. Lastly, I just want to close with a couple things. It's never been more important for our community and our local healthcare system to have a solid pipeline of healthcare clinicians, high-quality clinicians, than it is right now. You probably read in the headlines about shortages in the healthcare system. So for us to have a built-in partnership with a high-quality school right down the street is key for us. At Portneuf Medical Center, one of our key missions is to provide world-class care at every interaction and to be a delivery system that allows people to give and receive that world-class healthcare locally in Southeast Idaho. This partnership with ISU is a huge part of us fulfilling that mission. Lastly, thank you to the families, to the spouses, to the parents, to the kids who sacrificed just as much as all the graduates in this room to make tonight and the rest of these clinicians' careers possible. We look forward to hearing about each one of them, and we are honored to be a small part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate those kind words. It was pretty interesting. I'll just share a really quick statistic with you that actually was better than I had even thought. So I was actually emailing Jordan earlier today. Jordan is the CEO at Portneuf, who was unable to be with us today, but he was asking me some questions. And so I jumped on Portneuf's Find a Doctor. And so these are all the doctors that are credentialed at the hospital. So if you search for family medicine doctors, and if you exclude the residents, because you residents are listed there, there's 32 family medicine doctors when you search on Portneuf's website. 24 of those 32 are either graduates of this program or faculty at this program. So again, shows that wonderful partnership that we have there. So thanks again to Portneuf Medical Center. And then the final part of our three-legged stool is Health West. And so they were unable to attend here, and so they shared a video here.
Wesley, thanks for joining me today. We have some big news to share. Ooh, I know we're all excited that the Yankees are in first, but not our big news. Yep, the Gate City Grays are about to begin playing. And how fun is it going to be to go watch them play this year? Yep, still not our big news though. Yes, after tonight's big event, Dr. Cree should take everyone out for ice cream. Double scoops. Still not our big news though. Yes, we want to congratulate Idaho State University Family Medicine's class of 2022.
Guys, the day has finally come. The day you have waited for the past 3 years, working tirelessly day and night to serve the patients of Health West. I just personally wanted to say congratulations on all your hard work and best of luck for all your future endeavors. Congratulations.
Congratulations, graduates, you did it! Woo! Congratulations, graduates, you did it! Woo!
Idaho State University Family Medicine Residency Program, Class of 2022. On behalf of our Board of Directors, patients, and entire Health West team, we want to say thank you for your service and congratulations. And Dr. Jessica Rowland, we can't wait to continue working with you. Go Bengals!
Round of applause for Health West. I always love, they usually do a video every year, and I always look forward to seeing the numbers. I think that's always so fun. I'm sure it was for you graduates. Just, you know you've worked hard, but I think when you get to see those numbers, it kind of puts it into perspective of how much good you've done and the number of people that you've seen. So before we get into graduation, I guess we've got just a little bit of other work to do. Work, probably the wrong word, but this, as Nate Carter kind of referenced, this is a beginning and an end. And so we always like to recognize our incoming learners, and then we have a little bit of ceremonial stuff with that. And so we're going to start with, so here we have, so Buck, you want to stand up wherever you are, because we know we have, stand up there, Buck. So Buck is staying with us. He's been accepted into the Hospitalist Fellowship, and so he will be doing a one-year fellowship. He will be the third fellow that we've had, and we will be graduating our second here a little bit later tonight. And then Audrey Riley is going to be stepping in the psychology resident role, and she is not with us tonight. We, as some of you may or may not be aware, we also have a partnership with the University of Utah where we have a psychiatry residency that we share. And so we're entering a really exciting time where it's a 4-year program. Years 1 and 2 are in Salt Lake City. Years 3 and 4 are in Pocatello, Idaho. The third-year residents start here in about 2 weeks from now. And so July 5th, they will be here, boots on the ground. And so we have there, those are the three, and again, I don't think any of those three are with us. I wouldn't have expected, we weren't expecting them, but again, wanted to announce that and make everybody aware, and this is kind of a landmark day as we look to for the very first time, having psychiatry residents in an area that is woefully underserved, as Nate could speak to from a hospital standpoint. So, and then just showing you as well there, we have, so these are the interns that have matched into that program. And once again, they are not with us tonight, but these are the 3 interns that will be spending a little bit of time here over the next couple of years, but then boots on the ground here in a couple of years. So, all right, and then our final one here, Madeline is here, right? Where is Madeline? Oh, right there. All right, so Madeline, if you actually want to come forward, and then I will advance to our set of interns here. And so if you want to come forward as well, and you can line up along here. So Cody, Marie, Tyler, Jesse, Colton, Daria, Sheldon, and Andrew. If you want to all come forward, we've got a few things for you. So, and then we would invite any nurses that are in the audience that were invited to come tonight to come forward as well. And so as I call your name again, we will have nurses step forward and present you with your white coat. We have, for really as far as I know, since this residency started, we have had a tradition of having white coats presented to the new residents by the nurses. And we really do that deliberately. We want this to be ingrained in your mind that you will fail miserably without them. It is just plain and simple. And so if you would like to fail miserably, then pretend like the nurses don't know anything and they're not important and whatever thing we want to say. If you want to see great success, they're going to play a huge role in that. And so we want them to be at this initial stage for you. And so, so why don't... So I guess we will, let's go ahead and step, oops, I went the wrong way. All right, let's go. Forgive me, I'm going the wrong way. Maybe I will figure this out. There we go. All right, so Madeline, let's start with you. So, Madeline. And nurses, if it's actually easier, if you want to tell me in that order, we can, or I can go off of this sheet. We're in alphabetical. I don't know if I know alphabetical, so you're gonna read alphabetical by first name or last name. Cunningham. All right. So Cody Cunningham, step forward. Marie Elwood. Tyler Coons. Jesse? Jesse, no. Colton Fippen? Daria Screens? Sheldon Wernick? And then last but not least, Andrew Baker. And Andrew, if you were wondering, your last name comes after W. So, okay, in case you're wondering. So it's Baker with a Z. Baker with a Z. Okay. All right. So, and then just a few pictures here for you showing some of the amazing nurses that they will get to work with in the clinic. And then some of the wonderful nurses from Portneuf Medical Center. And so, speaking of Portneuf Medical Center, we're going to keep you guys up here for just a little bit longer, and I think you're going to be glad we did. So I would like to invite two wonderful members of the Portneuf Auxiliary to come forward. And so we have Juanita Grimmett and Jane Hendricks to come forward, and they have a few words and a presentation here, and we are always super excited to have them every year. So.
Okay, this is Janelle Hendricks, and I'm Juanita Grimmett, and we're members of the Portneuf Auxiliary Volunteers. And we're here today to welcome our new residents to Pocatello, Portneuf Medical Center, Idaho State University, and Health West. Every year, our auxiliary is very proud to present these wonderful people with $500 each, hoping it will help in some small way of letting them know how happy we are to have them here at Portneuf and furthering their careers. So here are the checks for you. And okay, first of all is Cody Cunningham.
Thank you very much. Can I shake your hand?
You betcha. Marie Elwood. Tyler Coons. Jesse No. Thank you. Colton Fippen. Daria Screens. Thank you. Sheldon Warnick. Thank you. Andrew Baker. And you're not last? I'm not last. And Madeline Foster. Thank you. And again, welcome.
All right, I think you can go sit down. I told you it was worth the wait. That is definitely one of my favorite parts of graduation, and the Portna Foundation has been doing this for a long time. As you graduate from medical school, you have way too much debt to even think about, but usually you don't have loans anymore, and so you really have no money, and your residency paycheck doesn't come for nearly as quick as you wish it would, and so I don't even know that poor is the right word for how often as you feel as you enter this, and so I think that $500 feels like about $1 million at that point. So thank you so much for your generous contribution. I'll tell you what, though, I also loved seeing the interns be able to give you hugs or shake your hand. The last 2 years, COVID has really made a very difficult graduation, and graduation is such a emotional, touchy-feely time, for lack of a better word, and so it's wonderful that we're able to at least have a little bit of that tonight. So, okay, well, most of you are here for graduation, and so thank you for putting up with some of those things as we got to this point, and so we now want to move into that part, and so in just a brief moment, I'm going to bring Jordan forward as he's going to do Kaylee's tribute. Last year, I kind of started a tradition, and I'm going to continue that this year, where I'm just going to very briefly speak, as I've just given a word to each of the graduates. And so you'll see Kaylee's up there, and I guess with her, I cheated because I did kind of 2 words, but I brought them together with a hyphen, and so I guess that counts. But I looked up synonyms for quiet confidence and really couldn't find anything that fit, and so I put it there. And those of us who have worked with her for the last couple of years, what a quiet, confident, amazing pharmacist she came here as and has just continued to blossom into. The answers that she's been able to give to so many of the questions has been wonderful, and again, just quietly goes about her business in such a wonderful way. And so we've loved having her here. And Jordan, if you want to come forward and talk more about this wonderful graduate.
Let the games begin. All right, Kaylee, where are you? Over there, okay, howdy. All right, and I've actually never advanced the slides when I've done this before, so this will be an adventure potentially. Hello everybody, I'm Jordan Farrow, and I'm pharmacy faculty with the department, and today I have the privilege of giving Kaylee Kenzel's tribute. I will say that I can be a very emotional person, so please forgive me if I do start to bawl at any point during this. And I would also like to point out that the following words are not all mine, all right? So please don't shoot the messenger. First, I would like to start by thanking Kaylee's family, friends, and husband for their support of Kaylee throughout her strenuous academic adventure. This moment would likely not be possible without all of your support, so thank you. With that, Kaylee was born and raised in Pocatello, Idaho, to Kathy and Kelly Murphy, who are both very encouraging and wonderful. She also has 2 siblings, Nicole, who's 24 and in the OT program at ISU, and she is very caring and sympathetic, and Brooke, who is 15 and goes to Pokey High and is a goofball and a good gym buddy. Now, I will say I took everybody's photo in the foyer at the start of this, and I thought they might start fighting, so. Having grown up in Pocatello, Kaylee completed high school at Highland High, undergrad at ISU, pharmacy school at ISU, and also her MBA at ISU while she was pursuing her pharmacy degree. And that brings me to Kaylee's husband, Grayson. So first off, they just celebrated their 1-year anniversary on June 19th. I believe that date's correct, so congratulations. And Kaylee says that Grayson is the best ED pharmacist, an adrenaline junkie, always pushes Kaylee to do her best. However, you're just not as witty as Kaylee. Her words, not mine. And also, Kaylee is quite competitive, and she likes to remind Grayson that she also obtained her MBA degree, which is one more than Grayson has. And I couldn't make it through this presentation without talking about their dog, Millie, or Mildred. Although I will say that I'm pretty sure it's Kaylee's dog because she's the quintessential #dog mom. Now, with that, Kaylee loves to adventure, and this includes things like hiking, backpacking, mountain biking, being outside. She also enjoys spending time with friends and family, reading, and exploring new places. And I recently asked Kaylee what her favorite hiking/backpacking route was, and she responded with either the Alice Toxaway Loop that is in the Sawtooth or a trail that is known as the Knife's Edge, which is in Maine. Still don't know why you're in Maine. But now, although these hikes are very different from one another, it was easy to draw some comparisons between either of those hikes and Kaylee's adventure through ISU and Health West. One quote that I stumbled upon while researching either of the aforementioned trails was that this route is not for the faint of heart. Although the trail starts off mellow enough, it quickly becomes quite rocky with large steps. If the steepness wasn't enough for you, then the Knife Edge Trail will surely get your adrenaline going as you scramble along the narrow serpentine ridge to the summit. Now, what does this have to do with Kaylee's adventure? Well, I remember when Kaylee started her first year of pharmacy school, and I was in my first year of pharmacy residency. Kaylee started working at the clinic as a pharmacy intern at that time, and she definitely sort of eased into this position and the start of her climb. She was likely experiencing some anxiety and fear about what lied ahead, because I'm not sure if I ever heard her speak a word for the first 6 weeks. Nonetheless, Kaylee quickly grew into her role and became a key member of our pharmacy intern team. She essentially was with the clinic for the past 6 years through pharmacy school and through residency. But like the Knife's Edge Trail, her route was not for the faint of heart, as she simultaneously achieved her MBA and PharmD at the same time. She successfully navigated the steepness and many rocky steps that she faced between the start of her academic climb and the summit of her completing residency. Regarding the Knife's Edge Trail, even a slight stumble could result in falling off the edge, and some pretty serious consequences could follow. Well, Kaylee never stumbled. Her focus, hard work, determination, perseverance, and knowledge assisted her to the top, where she can now look out across the landscape of life and feel proud of her accomplishment. Although Kaylee has all the skills to make it to the summit, she also has another in which a lot of people wish they had, and that is just sheer luck. Just in the past year, Kaylee's won a year's worth of Built bars and also a Peloton through online sweepstakes. So, Kaylee, I know that the Powerball draws tomorrow, so I've got $20 if you'd like to go get me some tickets. All joking aside, I wanted to say congratulations on completing this massive adventure and wish you the best of luck as you move to Boise to start your position with the ISU College of Pharmacy in St. Luke's. You were really a staple with us in the clinic for the past 6 years, and we're going to miss you greatly. Lastly, I'd like to leave you with some words provided by your colleagues and friends. Some words that others have used to describe Kaylee include intelligent, deliberate, kind, and hardworking. And one stated that, "Thank you for your hard work and dedication during residency. I have no doubt that you can do anything you put your mind to." One also described you as technologically challenged. Apparently, Kaylee bought an HDMI adapter for her computer so that she could hook it up to the monitors in the resident room and spent several months trying to figure out how to actually make that work. And apparently, Tafa, who also is a pharmacy resident, just walked up and plugged it in and it started working. She's also been described as bad at karaoke, but in a good way. She's been a vital member of the karaoke band better known as the Farmers, and that's spelled with a PH, as pharmacist. I also will just apologize to everybody else who is in the ensuing video. Yeah. So with that, Kaylee, congratulations. We're thankful for you for making this program a better place. We're honored to call you a colleague, and you'll be a valued member of the faculty with the College of Pharmacy. But I also hear that you've lost both your MBA and PharmD certificates recently, so please don't lose this one. And I think you can come down now.
That really was an accident, but it was a good accident. All right, so our next graduate is Dr. Cade Call, who, as I said earlier, is our second graduate of our Hospitalist Fellow program. And the word that I thought of with Cade was that of a teacher. I think we were all amazingly surprised at how adept he quickly became as he stepped into a role, yes, of spending a lot of time as a hospitalist, but we expect our hospitalist fellows to do a lot of teaching, and has just been a phenomenal teacher for many of our residents. And John Fenstermaker, who directs the fellowship, is going to come forward and give his tribute.
All right. Kate, thanks for letting me say a few words about you, and thanks for joining us for this last year. It's been great to have you with us, and we're glad you're sticking around, but we'll get to that. So, Cade was born and raised in Rexburg, just about an hour and a half north of here. He is actually the fifth in his family to receive his doctorate degree. His father and 3 out of his 4 siblings have doctorate degrees, his father and his sister in music, and another sister with a doctorate in special ed. And then there's 2 physicians, and then he has another brother who's a very successful computer programmer. He served a church mission in Philadelphia, did undergraduate at BYU, Idaho, and that is where he met his wife, Rachel, in organic chemistry in her very first semester of college. So she was a freshman, which is just still crazy to me that she's a freshman in organic chemistry, and he figured she must be smart, so he thought he'd give it a chance, or give it a shot. He asked her out, she declined, but eventually I guess he wore her down, and she agreed to go out with him. In retrospect, as Cade tells me, this again was her very first chemistry class in college as a freshman, and this was her very first B that she ever received as a student. And so I just want to add to that I got to be there too, and I was much farther advanced in undergrad, and that was not my first B, but that's okay. But for several years, she was asked in retrospect if you had to go back, and it was either, okay, maybe go back and do organic chemistry again and get an A, or meet Cade out of that experience and eventually marry him. It took her a while to decide which of those she would rather do. They were married 1.5 years later. They have 2 girls, Lydia, who's 5, and Claire, who is 3, and Rachel went on to get her degree in secondary education in English and in math. Am I supposed to be cycling through these? Sorry, I didn't even think of that. Oh. That's cute. I didn't choose that quote. I think you said it sometime in the last year. Cade enjoys the outdoors. He's excellent at driving snow machines. He was so good at driving snow machines that on one of their early dates, he about drove Rachel off of a cliff. They didn't share that story with their parents until they were married. He enjoys reading recreationally. He's a very talented musician, which I wish I would have known more. He plays both the piano and cello. He used to perform with both the Idaho Falls and Rexburg symphonies, and he also played in a touring orchestra across Europe. And now he plays for his kids, and they like to sing while he plays. He also enjoys tinkering with cars, motorcycles, small engines. Cade became interested in medicine when he was 15, and he was diagnosed with diabetes at that age, and he found that a physician really took interest in him, and really cared about Cade, and he wanted to mirror that, and so that's what kind of led him to go for a career in medicine. He went to medical school in Des Moines, Iowa. This is where Cade lost his hair. That's where I lost my hair too. What is with that place? Initially, he didn't really like hospital medicine. It wasn't his thing. As a third-year student, he wanted to do psychiatry. And I think the cosmos aligned, and he didn't match in psychiatry and ended up in family medicine in South Texas. And these are Cade's words. He said, "I wasn't really a great student at that point, and I decided that I wanted to just devote myself and start working harder." And if you've worked with Cade through this last year, I think all of us can say that I was really surprised to hear that, because Cade is very astute, and he's one of those people that I would classify as like freaky smart. He decided to work really hard. He decided to devote himself, and he ended up in residency in McAllen, Texas, which is about as far south in Texas as you can get. He's very well read and up on current evidence, so it was very surprising for me to hear that he considered himself not a very good student. After initially disliking hospital medicine, he started loving it as a resident. He spent a lot of extra time and elective time in the hospital, and he served as a chief resident in his residency, and then decided he wanted to apply for a hospitalist fellowship, and he was actually offered a spot in 5 different fellowships. And he said that he chose us because he liked the mix of teaching and that we were associated with the residency. So we are very happy that Cade joined us. He is actually going to be staying with us and will be working as a nocturnist. So those of you who are coming into your second year, you'll be able to have the opportunity to work with him and Dr. Nearing as the main nocturnist over the foreseeable future. So we're very excited that Cade is going to continue to teach the residents in this program and that he's staying in Pocatello. Thanks, Cade. Come on down.
So John, actually what he told me is he got into 5 programs, but there was somebody had lost their hair in Des Moines and Pocatello as well, and he felt like they bonded. So we now have the medical residents, our 8 medical residents. It's our very first time with 8, and we'll speak a little bit about that later. And so the first one we have is, I guess I'll say Jonathan J. Bennett. That comes off a little weird. It's always JJ. The word that I chose for JJ was that of father. And it's, a lot of residents that we have through here end up with children and are fathers. But as I looked at JJ, one of the things that I loved watching JJ was how he changed as he became a father. Being a father of 5, those of you out there who are mothers and fathers, for better or for worse, children change us, and it's generally for the better. And I loved watching JJ as a father and watched as he stepped into that role and just the change that came about him, and really watching that change move into his work as a physician and a resident. It was awesome to watch and very enjoyable. And so the word I chose for JJ was father. Zach Warnock, if you want to come forward, you have his tribute.
Where are you, JJ? All right. Now I know where to direct my wrath. Okay. Good evening, folks. I have to get something ready on my phone here, but we always learn so many new things about the graduates at this graduation, just in time to say goodbye to them. And it's always things that didn't come up over the last 3 years somehow, and it brings new light to their personalities and helps us get to know them much better. And I feel like there's always a theme that comes through, and that was true with Dr. Bennett as well. As I was putting this eulogy together, I learned a lot more about J.J. Bennett, and I realized who he really is. Ladies and gentlemen, we gather tonight in the darkness at MI6 ISU to learn the identity of a secret agent, Bennett, James Bennett. Call sign Avalanche. And you'll have to ask him what that means. 00 Bennett, MD, is joined tonight by 3 other members of the Bennett Secret Intelligence Service. His mother, Nancy, a.k.a. Mummy Benny, and father, Steve Bennett, or the QB, and also his beautiful wife, Laura, recently crowned Mummy Benny 2.0 when she brought a new agent into the world in March. Their brand new daughter is named Maya and has brought a whole nother level of cuteness to the Bennett Secret Intelligence Service. Dr. Bennett, who at med school graduation in front of everyone else described himself as sexy but humble, has not always been the adventure-seeking, highly skilled medical practitioner you see before you tonight. In fact, 2 weaknesses nearly prevented his illustrious career. Number 1, he's always too cold, and for the last 3 years, he's complained about it every day to the nurses. And number two is coming right up, maybe. He never grew out of that baby face. So, in order to prove himself and establish a reputation as a versatile medicine man, he set out from youth on a continuous adventure that culminates here tonight. Born and raised in Maple Grove, Minnesota, as the middle child of 3 boys, he lived on a lake and developed extreme agility while fishing, tubing, water skiing, snowboarding, cross-country skiing, and more. He learned both how to subdue the enemy of pain and the importance of anesthesia as a 10-year-old when he suffered a compound forearm fracture while fine-tuning his manly leaps on the trampoline. The doctor tried about 20 times to set his fracture without anesthesia while 00 Bennett was fully conscious and screaming. Later, he muscled through 2 weeks with a scaphoid fracture that missed initially after a bike jump accident. 2 surgeries, 2 casts, and a metal pin only refined his grit. As a muscled athletic type, he played almost every sport there was: football, soccer, baseball, lacrosse, skiing, hockey, and basketball. He even cross-country skied the Birkebeiner in Wisconsin. During a biochemistry degree at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, he acclimated himself to blood and guts and studied for an 8 a.m. test by spending the whole night in the dissection lab. At Tulane Medical School in New Orleans, 00 Bennett mastered medicine by day, but at night he pursued his high school sweetheart bride-to-be. He and Laura have been acquainted since elementary school, by the way. As is the case with most salty secret agents, his better half kept him in line and out of trouble, and Laura worked long hours to put him through school and take care of their home and puppy. Fearing that love had made him soft, and it had, JJ kayaked for 7 weeks with 2 other med students from Seattle all the way to Alaska, tent camping in different locations each night. He almost had his kayak turned over by a whale, but he decided he had no time to die. He biked, if any of these references don't make sense, Dr. Cree can explain later. He biked around Cuba for a month by himself with just a backpack. He also studied abroad at the University of Hong Kong and traveled throughout Asia. As if that wasn't enough, he backpacked alone in South America for a month, and along the way was held at gunpoint in the Amazon for a night. He decided to wait and die another day. Residency at ISU has also been a grand adventure in JJ and Laura's life. They were married after JJ figured out diamonds are forever and proposed on a hike near Jackson. And when Laura later became pregnant, she told JJ he was going to be a dad by presenting him with a onesie that said, "Hi, Daddy," also on a hike, this time at Scout Mountain. So the outdoors has been a big part of their life. The best day of their life was meeting Maya after Dr. Bennett was able to deliver her at Portneuf. And we say doctors deliver babies, but don't worry, Laura, we know you did all the hard work. Oh, by the way, Maya was not the first baby that JJ and Laura took care of together. In high school, they had the responsibility of caring for a fake baby. Unfortunately, one arm fell off, and they lost the key that made it stop crying and left it outside all night so that they wouldn't have to listen to it. Safe to say things are going much better this time around. Really, they are wonderful parents, and everyone who went to the residency retreat at Bear Lake knows how much Dr. Bennett loves his daughter because he couldn't put her down and he just loves showing her off. But for your eyes only, just in case they need it, I got another fake baby for the Bennetts so they can try out any new parenting skills on this before they try them on Maya. So, not sure how to appropriately place a baby, but JJ and Laura grew up 1 mile apart in Minnesota, and their love for family will take them back to Minnesota very soon when Dr. Bennett starts his new position at Lakeview Clinic in Waconia and Watertown in August, much to the excitement of all their family and friends back home in Minnesota. Dr. Bennett, remember, you only live twice, and as you and Laura and Maya move on to your new life, we wish you all the happiness in the world and all the success in the world. Congratulations.
One of my very favorite memories of JJ's residency, I'm sure he'll remember this. I was on call, and one of his pregnant patients was being induced, and I got a call from the nurse that had some questions about the emotional support animal that this mother wanted to bring in. That was a bearded dragon that was certified as the emotional support animal. And we had to convince this mother that she wasn't allowed to bring the bearded dragon emotional support animal into labor and delivery. Robert Buck Courtney is our next graduate. The word that came to mind was lively. Buck is just the life of the party. I don't know if Buck is ever not smiling. He has been such a happy, just bright, always smiling influence at the residency. I think everybody was super excited when he was able to finagle his bus over the bridge just recently at the retreat, as that became the lively place for people to gather and hang out with Buck in the bus. And so, Jonathan Cree, if you want to come forward after that 007, you should be ready to go. So.
Sometimes you can see the adult in the 4-month-old. This is perfect. Buck's family story starts here in Idaho 60 years ago. Here is Buck's grandfather, Bob. who as a young man before marriage served as the chief fire officer for INEEL, living in Moore and braving radiation every day. Moore is a town of 179 people just north of Arco. His father, also Bob, was a high-level electronic aeronautical engineer working for the space shuttle at Cape Canaveral and in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Very talented engineers. Here's the whole family of 5. We salute the families of our graduates. We know the sacrifices that they were made to bring their sons and daughters to the completion of over 12 years of medical education and training. I would like all the mothers and fathers here of our graduates just to stand so that we can clap them and applaud what they have done to support their kids. Please stand. Bach is a traveler. Here we see him in the Arches in Utah, Mexico City, Aztec buildings behind them. The lower right, he's in Mount Snowdon in Wales. That was a good trip. However, his preferred mode of travel is the motorbike. Deserts with his brother-in-law Miguel and going through floods, dirt bikes. But his chariot of choice is this wonderful machine. This is a classic British bike. This is a Triumph Thuxton 900 twin carb, beautiful machine. I also believe in British chariots. He looks after his own vehicle. He worked in auto shop for 3 years while in high school. And he loves wilderness medicine, and some of my notes haven't come through. So in high school, he was with Air Rescue, and he went on several rescue trips, but he actually admits that his number of times he's rescued other people is about half the number of times he's been rescued himself. So here he is in an ice cave. He was once out and in the dark and got lost, and his sister Hannah had to send people out with a snowmobile to find him. His undergraduate degree was in physics and engineering. He was following his father's footsteps. He's a great engineer, and to the extent that the engineering department at Anschutz in Denver wanted him to come and do a PhD there, but fortunately he decided to follow medicine instead. Here he's getting his white coat at the class of 2019 at the University of New Mexico School of Medicine. So he had everything except a bus. We were all very bemused at this man who was going to live in a bus. In fact, I phoned his sister Hannah, who's in the first year of internal medicine, and she told me that he had sat her and their brother Williams here too, down for a very serious conversation, as he said. He explained he was going to live in a bus. They said, "You're going to be a hobo." He said, "No, I'm not going to be a hobo. I'm going to convert the bus, and he used his wonderful engineering skills. I mean, look at this thing. It's just magnificent. It's got a fridge and stove and fireplace. He didn't have the wood. He had to get the wood from his other residents, I think. Tyson gave him the wood for a year. A little bit about his residency. He describes his residency as a blast. Okay. Well, he certainly had a blast in that delivery. You can see he doesn't really like obstetrics, but he enjoys medicine, hospital medicine, and he loved his time with Fenstermaker and Jensen, nights with Dr. Evans, Dr. Nearing, Dr. Hoffman, ICU doctors. He really enjoyed time with Dr. Parmalee in the emergency room. And the middle picture at the bottom, he was with JJ as an intern. I just want you to imagine this. Here he is as an intern in about the 9th month of his intern year. He's put in the only COVID testing lab that had just opened. They're given total protective garments, which they never had before. I mean, you can see him in the picture there with his hat and his mask. And the two of them ran the COVID testing unit as interns without any supervision. JJ's still a little bit angry about it, but Buck just sort of rose to the challenge and just did it. So a month ago, his family founded a new generation. There's Amelia. Congratulations to his brother. Stephanie and William, his wife Stephanie. And here you see Hannah, his sister, celebrating her white coat ceremony. So we haven't said much about his mum, who educated all of these three at home, homeschooling. And she must have been pretty successful. They've all gone into healthcare. I asked him, well, why homeschool? And they said, well, they have high standards. And actually, Dr. Cree, they were a little bit hippies. I'm not sure what being a little hippie is like, but anyway, there we go. So as to Buck's future, he's doing the fellowship in our hospital to hone his skills in ICU ventilator medicine. He loves the technical side of medicine, which is often a little bit beyond us, but he's going to go a long way with it. He hopes to join two of our other graduates, Dylan Cole and Kasia Barzak, you see them there, who do full scope family medicine, including obstetrics and ICU medicine in Moab, and they would love to be relieved of some of their ICU responsibilities. So, Buck, it's been a real delight to have you with us, and come and get your certificate.
Buck, I hope you smiled for that picture. I know that's hard for you. All right, Logan Jones is our next resident. Well, I don't know if Caitlin is here. There she is. Thank you. Anyway, this is probably a good time. I'd like just a quick round of applause for Caitlin and all the admin staff for all the work into graduation. There is so much behind the scenes to pull something like this off, and oftentimes I only know the half of it, and so they do a great job. But Logan's word is humble. I had actually put meek on there, and Caitlin came to me and she said, I don't think you want to put meek on there. And we got into a great conversation, and I shared with her that meek is a word that I'm very passionate about, but she actually shared with me that most people look at meek very negatively. And so, Logan, we can talk about meek later if you want. I can probably 30 minutes. 30 minutes, which is enough time we can talk about meekness. But anyway, humble is the word that I ended up choosing for Logan with Caitlin's help. Logan has had some things thrown his way that he didn't wish and didn't want. And it's been amazing to watch him. It's been amazing to watch him as he has humbly moved through a few of those things and figured it out and has continued to be a wonderful resident, a wonderful father, done a great job as a chief resident, and so truly loved working with him over the last couple of years. Neil Reagan, if you want to come forward.
Speaking of humble, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to work the high tech up here, but we'll give it a shot. Logan, you are, I really do appreciate your asking me to do your tribute. I recently learned that I have a little bit of a reputation for, how to put this, being too much roasty and too little tributey. And so you get to be the inaugural reformation for Reagan. Special welcome to Kelsey and the kids, Kai, Gray, and Tinley, Logan's dad, Brent, and Kelsey's parents, Rick and Lee. Did you make it? Okay, wonderful. By the way, speaking of wedding anniversaries, Logan and Kelsey just celebrated their 16th on the 8th of June, so this is turning out to be a banner month for the Joneses. So, congratulations. How does this advance? Here we go. Do I hit enter? What do I do?
They said this works, so I can actually advance.
Okay,
forward.
perfect.
Make your life.
Great. So, learning and practicing medicine is, it's a privilege, really, it is, but it doesn't always feel like it. Too much work, too little sleep, too much stress, too little relaxation, too much time seeing patients, and too little time seeing family. I know there have been times during the past 3 years when Logan thought, I had a great life as a builder. Why am I doing this? Well, what he did was what he always does and what he will continue to do when faced with tough times, and that is simply to persevere. Logan had the good fortune and the frequent aggravation of being selected by his peers as chief resident. This is basically a liaison role between 22 occasionally fractious residents and a group of long-suffering faculty. And to do this job well, Logan had to siphon off precious time from other really important activities to help keep the residency gears turning and help keep the fragile egos soothed. He made it through this too, with patience, a sense of humor, and what I consider, being an old farm boy myself, farm boy work ethic. Logan was born in Rigby, Idaho, to Brent and Kathy Jones, the youngest of 3 boys growing up on a farm with cattle, horses, four-wheelers, and all manner of other things that can get people killed out of either necessity or opportunity of having to do the things that we do, like working alone while either offloading or unloading hay onto a wagon, and you're out there by yourself doing it because you're trying to get things done, and it's really a job for 3 people, but you're doing it yourself. And so what you do is you're on the tractor, and then you hop off and you go either throw a bale on or off, whichever direction you're moving, and then you run and jump back on the tractor and you go a little farther, and then you jump back off again, and you do all this again and again and again, and you somehow manage to not get run over by the wagon or by the tractor. OSHA rules do not apply to farm families. It's dangerous work. It wasn't all work, though, and no play. Growing up in the country, boys can always find things to do, like going out at night with your cousin and peeing off the overpass onto oncoming traffic. Logan, it turns out that in Idaho, there's not a statute of limitations on that kind of thing, so there will be a uniformed officer waiting for you in the lobby after you have picked up your diploma. We'll call and let Twin know you'll be running just a little bit late. At Rigby High School, Logan played all kinds of sports: football, wrestling, track, field, boxing. Also got a part-time job in a construction business, and before too long was promoted to foreman, illustrating his capacities not only as a carpenter but also as a leader. After graduating from high school, he served a 2-year mission in Lubbock, Texas, and afterwards started his own construction company. Starting from scratch, his first job was framing a 4,000 square foot home, and he went on to build from Shelley to St. Anthony, specializing in large custom homes in Teton and Driggs. Sounds like a good life, and we'd probably all be forgiven for wondering why he would give that up to go into medicine. We'll get to that in a sec. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before Logan's construction business really took off, he happened to be country dancing one night in Rexburg and struck up a conversation with Kelsey Starnes, a pretty young Southern California city girl. Toby Keith had barely started I Should Have Been a Cowboy, and there was already a whiff of romance in the air. By the time Brooks and Dunn finished Boot Scootin' Boogie, the hook had been set. Hard to know who was setting the hook and who was the hookee, but nonetheless, they were moving on. Their first official dates involved shooting guns and four-wheeling, and the city girl was over the moon. Her parents were not. She was 18, and it took some cajoling for Mom and Dad to come around to the idea that their little girl had found herself an Idaho feller. They married less than a year later. While Logan built houses, Kelsey worked on her undergraduate degree, and after she graduated, they moved to Utah, where she had secured a job teaching in middle school. Logan started college at Utah Valley and did carpentry jobs on the side, basements and remodels and so forth. When their oldest son, Kai, was born in 2012, he got off to a bit of a rough start, and after a 3-week stay in the NICU, was sent home with catheter and feeding tube. Logan had already been thinking about medicine as a career, and Kai's medical problems pretty much sealed the deal. The carpenter would be trading his tool belt for a stethoscope. A few months later, their second son, Gray, was born in 2015. Or a few months after their second son, Gray, was born, they moved to North Carolina for medical school. Among their favorite memories from this time was fireflies and beach vacations on the Outer Banks. If they'd lived in the South a little longer, they would know that those things are really called lightning bugs, not fireflies. 2017 was bookended by tragedy and by joy. Logan's mom, Kathy, died from breast cancer, and daughter, Tinley, was born. Tinley, who's now almost 5, clearly leads Logan around by the nose. In 2019, after graduating from med school, Logan and Kelsey and the 3 kids packed up and moved back west, back to Pocatello, where we were lucky enough to have him as a resident, and he was lucky enough to get us as a resident. Not having enough else to do, Kelsey decides to go on and further her education, and a few weeks ago even received her MBA from ISU. Logan, meanwhile, has been accepted in an outpatient position with North Canyon Medical in Twin Falls, and is looking very forward to spending more time with his family than what he has done over the past 3 years. Logan, as you and your family start this next chapter in your lives, we wish all of you great happiness and success, and whatever doubts that you may have had about going into medicine, just rest assured that you are exactly the family physician that your patients need. Come on down.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you, Neil. Our next graduate is James Gordon Marble. The word that I have for James is inquisitive. I have loved working with James through the years, as he is one of those residents that is always asking why. And to me, that is one of the most important attributes that we, as physicians, as pharmacists, can have. Is again, we always need to be asking why, and that allows us to take really the best care of our patients. So, Gene Bokelman, if you want to come forward and don't let us down without a kitchen tool, Gene. You want to advance or you want me to?
I'll advance. Okay. For once, I'm ready to advance. So I think you nailed it with the word. That is really, I can't think of a more perfect word. Following Dr. Reagan is always hard. It's like, you've got comic relief. Well, I think I'm relief from the comic, and I'm going to give all your cheek muscles a little rest as I kind of bring the tone down to a little more seriousness. Okay, good, got it. So, James, first of all, I saw you, there you are, yeah. James is here being supported by his wife, Kira, and James's parents, Helen and Gordon, and Kira's parents, Carol and Clay Stevens, and the children that I will introduce a little later. So, James was born in Layton, Utah, to his parents, Helen and Gordon Marble, and his two older siblings, Liz and John. Gordon owned a small business selling countertops and showers. Yes, they were made of marble. Helen was a teacher of home economics and sort of a role model for James. James spent most of his childhood in West Point, Utah, where he hung around with his best friend Tyler Stevens, and sometimes Tyler's twin sister Kira, on whom James maintained a bit of a crush. You can see them in the front row there of the picture on the left, and then Kira's in the back row there, and James is in the second to back row. If you have to guess which ones they are. Anyway, there they were. When Tyler and Kira moved to Washington as teenagers, James found solace in the company of his dog Belle, in between the twins' visits to Utah. During high school, James thought about becoming a vet or following his mother's and grandfather's footsteps and becoming a teacher. As he pondered these life issues, he went on his LDS mission to Alberta, Canada. While there, the vehicle he and his companion were riding in was badly rear-ended. James suffered a laceration and loss of consciousness, and the jaws of life were necessary to extricate him. His companion suffered a traumatic brain injury. This gave James a front-seat view to the world of medicine and piqued his curiosity about the human body. It wasn't much later, on a chilly Alberta walk, that James had a crystallized moment where he realized his destiny was medicine, and that his patients would be his students. He would still be a teacher. After completing his mission, James moved in with Grandma Grace and attended BYU, pursuing a pre-med curriculum. During this transition, he began dating his childhood friend Kira, who had been attending BYU. Kira says she was drawn to James's kindness, cute sense of humor, intelligence, and good looks. But alas, Kira went off on her own mission to Brazil, and the smitten couple had to correspond via snail mail. While at BYU, James worked as a phlebotomist and an anatomy TA. Anatomy held him in awe as he outwardly dissected and inwardly appreciated the metaphorical significance and the sacredness of the human body. James and Kira became engaged upon Kira's return from her mission. They got married and graduated together from BYU, James with a degree in physiology and developmental biology, and Kira with a degree in exercise science. During his hiatus between college and medical school, James worked as a worked in a medical alert call center and with his father in the marble business. That might not have been the name, but I like to call it that because it's cute. And then he went off to the Arizona College of Osteopathic Medicine. There, his decision to specialize in family medicine was a natural consequence of his interest in continuity and a more holistic approach to the patient. As is true for all graduates of this year, all this year's graduates, James experienced residency under the shadow of COVID. COVID was formative for all of you. I don't know if you all realize how formative it was. On one occasion, James learned how to set aside his stethoscope and his frustrations in order to perform a blessing at a wife's request on an angry and oppositional, critically ill patient. But COVID wasn't his only teacher. He found validation in the continuity of his clinic patients. With each patient encounter, he entered the exam room holding in focus in the macula of his view, the miracle of the human body, and the blessing of the human life before him. His view was contagious, and he watched patients gradually transform in positive ways. James acknowledges that Kira has been his peaceful base and pillar for the entirety of his medical training. His kids have also been a source of respite. James and Kira have 4 children. Here you go, kids. Dan, 8 years old, Carter, 5 years old, Ellie, 2 years old, and brand new Bethany, who is now 2 weeks old. Kira and James joke about their knack for having babies at pivotal times or under very stressful circumstances. There's Bethany. Kira appreciates that James has been incredibly present and supportive during these times, even though his plate was already full. He never missed a beat, except when he would fall asleep in random places, like kneeling next to the ottoman during a family prayer. The family also has a cat named Ollivander, a beagle puppy named Ahsoka, and a betta fish named Slither. As you may gather from these names, James is a Harry Potter fan and reads the entire set annually. He also enjoys the botanical mysteries of gardening. He has a fascination with culinary magic, why foods turn out the way they do. He took up spray paint art during residency. He likes board games and reads the game instructions as if another chapter in Harry Potter. James is joining the highly esteemed physicians of Intermountain Medical Clinic, where he will no doubt continue to exemplify the root meaning of the word doctor, docere, to teach his patients with gentle humor, love, and respect. James, I know you will continue to find blessings at every turn in care of your patients. Now for the kitchen tool. Okay, let's see. Here I have a chop wizard. Probably Harry Potter had something to do with that. I like this kitchen tool. I use it a lot. Here I have a magic wand. It's not a kitchen tool, but I wish it were because I could really use it. Okay, so let's see. I don't know. I need like a flat surface, but I'll make do here. So James, as an anatomist, you sliced and diced and analyzed the human body down to its parts. I think I can get the whole thing in there, so we'll see. I left myself options. There we go. How's that for slicing an onion? Okay, so you analyze the human body down to its smallest parts, and yet you never lost sight of the most important point. And I hope you know your spells. Expecto patronum. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts and is imbued with its own divinity. Come on down, James. Here's some chopped veggies for you. You're welcome. Smells like onions up here now.
I
Stir fry,
usually don't
anyone?
need help getting emotional up here. You know that.
Oh, thank you.
Well, James, what do you think? Should we just leave that slide up the rest of graduation? I mean, it's hard to move on past that. It's either that or we go back to karaoke. I'm not sure. All right, Jessica J. Rowland is our next. I couldn't think of a better word but balance. It's always amazing to watch the balancing that all residents do, but I think Jess was especially amazing as she dealt with a difficult divorce and taking care of children and I shouldn't say trying to be a resident, being a resident and succeeding in residency. And so we were always amazed at watching her balance everything and still do such a great job with everything she had going. So your word is balance, so thank you. John Fenstermaker, I think we've heard from you before. We're extra lucky. Come forward. You want to advance? You want me to?
Go for it.
Okay.
Super unfortunate for you guys tonight, sorry. Are you sure you want me to do this? It is not. I think Eric wrote a couple just in case. It actually really is my honor to talk about Jessica tonight. I'm super humbled by this opportunity. She has just an incredible story, really a life story that I'm going to delve into just a touch, but I probably won't do it justice. So it is humbling for me to be able to say a few words about Jessica. I'm not done quizzing you. I'm not done asking you questions. So I'm going to be saying a quote. So Jessica loves the theater, and she's a very talented thespian. And so I am not, by the way. And I don't know if any of these lines are accurate, but I have quoted some plays through this. And so I'm going to quiz you with what play they came from, these quotes. You can phone friends. If anyone else knows them, feel free to jump in. The first one, and these were quotes that I felt were applicable to you and who you are and your life. The first one is, and I'm thankful for every day that I'm given, both the easy and hard ones I'm living. Anybody? That is The Color Purple. Okay. So I want to first recognize a few people in her life. Her mother, Sherry. Her father and his wife, Dwight and Mary Beth. Her sister, Samantha. Her best friend, Liz. And her kids, Grayson, who is 12, and the twins, Ari and Zeta, who are 8. 7. Whoa. Whoa, I was not told 7. Did you really say 7? Okay, well, we have to question all the accuracy here tonight. All right, next quote. Always look on the bright side of life. It's spam a lot. Spam a lot. Okay. So Jessica was born and raised in Lewiston, Idaho. She admits that she was pretty shy and had very few friends, and that's when until she started theater, and that was in 3rd grade, and then she really blossomed. So she has apprised a lot of different roles. She's very talented. Started out as a bunny rabbit in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, one of the village children in Pinocchio, who was turned into a donkey. And then her big break came when she was a wicked stepsister in Cinderella in the 6th grade. Since then, she's been in over 100 plays. The next line, there's a million things I haven't done, but just you wait. Hamilton, yes. Okay. So, Jessica is a first-generation college student. She worked random jobs, pretty much everything from selling insurance to bathing pets to working in fast food. When Gray was born, she felt like she kind of needed to get her life together, and that's when she decided that she wanted to go back to school, perhaps doing something sciencey, perhaps along the lines of veterinary medicine. So she worked towards a degree in biology. She went to Lewis Clark State College, and as a mother, she was involved in 5 plays, worked 3 jobs to pay for tuition, childcare, and also took 17 credits. She majored in biology and got a minor in both theater and chemistry. When she was 24, Gray got sick, and she was kind of wondering how she let her son get so sick. He was pretty sick at this point. They didn't have insurance, and she'd just been broken down so many times by other people about, why are you a mom, and going through the school, and why are you doing this? And she just kind of felt that at that point she was failing. She felt awful about how sick her son was, and she went in to see this doctor, and the doctor pulled her aside, and the doctor reassured her and said, "You are doing fantastic." And the doctor commended her and said, "Don't think that you're not doing a good job. You're a great mother. You've done great things here." At that point, she felt very validated and heard, and wanted to be able to impact others positively the way that physician had done for her. So, at 8 months pregnant, she took the MCAT, while also being an assistant director of the play Les Mis. She applied then to medical school, University of Washington, and went through the targeted rural and underserved track. Okay, the next quote. I've never even heard of this play. I'm terrible. "Takes a little patience, takes a little time, a little perseverance, and a little uphill climb." That is from Dear Evan Hansen. Not familiar. So, with a 5-year-old and 1-year-old twins, she started medical school. She said that she was super poor. I don't know that really describes it, actually. As she was telling me some of this, there were loopholes that didn't qualify her for the financial aid that she needed and the government aid that she needed. I don't know how this happened to her, but she had such unfortunate circumstances, and she was actually told at one point by a financial aid officer at her school, "Well, you should just have more resources." And yet, despite this, Jessica really just pushed through this. At one point during a windstorm, she lived in the basement of a classmate's home with her 3 kids. Liz, who is her best friend, really came in and helped her along the way. She moved in with her and was a huge support for Jessica and her family during school. And during that time, Liz even got her own degree. Medical school was extremely difficult. A lot of food insecurity, to the point where Jessica was looking for hospitals that she could rotate at based on the food availability. And through the way, she says she was shown a ton of kindness. At one point, when she was without a car, an attending physician gave her a car along with the money to register it. And so along the way, dozens of people have helped graciously. Families, friends from theater, and people who have helped her through it all. Jessica herself said, "I had no way to fail. I had 3 kids looking to me for support, and I got through it by sheer force of willpower and kindness from people who I met along the way." Next quote. You'll get this one. "Even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise." You assistant directed it when you took the MCAT. That's Les Mis. Her life in medicine was inspired by her time in theater. In theater, everyone works together and brings their talents together to create something beautiful. It's the same in medicine. It takes a team to create something beautiful. She also met so many walks of life that it widened her perspective of what it meant to be a human. And she also gained perspective from portraying characters. For example, she played the part of Mimi in Rent, and playing that part of a person with an addiction gave her insight that she felt like she wouldn't have otherwise. The next quote. "Unlimited, my future is unlimited." Wicked. As I've said, Jessica loves music. She loves theater. She's very talented. She sang in the all-state choir and jazz choir in high school. She enjoys biking. She enjoys painting. She showed me a painting. I should have included on these slides, actually. My bad. She, in fact, is writing a fantasy novel about her children. She goes to Toledo with her kids every 2 weeks and does roller skating. She's involved in the local Pride Foundation and is excited about building and growing that foundation. The next quote, I've never heard of this play either. "See how the world could be in spite of the way that it is." Hadestown. I'm not familiar with that one. But Jessica will be staying in Pocatello and working at Health West ISU, where she will continue to teach and she will continue to be a valuable asset to those who are underserved. She has a special interest in gender affirmation and is passionate about working with the underserved. We're very excited to have her with us. The next quote is, the greatest things you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. That's Moulin Rouge. Her future goals, she wants to live on a sustainable farm. She wants to grow and live off the land using as little water as possible. She wants to continue to build the best life possible for her kids. And she's already active in the AAFP and wants to continue to be active in reproductive health education and promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Last quote, don't hold me back, because today all my dreams will come true. Hairspray. How many did you get? I don't think you did very well. Nonetheless, Jessica is an amazing individual. She's extremely determined and has incredible perseverance. Every person I asked about, or that I called about for information here, just said on and on about how perseverant she is. She has an open heart, she's very kind, and it truly is amazing the things that she's accomplished given the circumstances that she's had, and we're super excited that she's staying in Pocatello. Come on down, Jessica.
Tyson Allen Torgerson is our next graduate. Altruistic is the word that I chose for Tyson. Over the last 3 years, I've seen Tyson continue to show that he is willing to do anything for anyone. The community that he's headed to is going to be very well served by his altruism and his love for people. Eric Jensen, if you want to come forward and give his tribute.
Major depressive disorder, as defined in DSM-5, is to have 5 of the following symptoms present during the same 2-week period: depressed mood, anhedonia, significant weight change, sleep disturbances, psychomotor changes, fatigue or loss of energy, feeling of worthlessness, diminished ability to think or concentrate, and recurrent suicidal ideations. Tyson was first labeled with major depressive disorder as diagnosed by the faculty of the ISU Family Medicine Residency in 2019, at the beginning of his residency. We recommended treatment with SSRIs and intensive counseling. Obviously, we know Tyson. That's the exact opposite of who he is. His wife, actually, I feel like, diagnosed him a little bit better. This is what she said. Tyson is a calm, self-assured, hardworking person who does not shirk responsibility. He is a man with integrity who does the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Tyson is a confident, independent person who she describes as having a quiet strength. And over the last 3 years, I've loved getting to know Tyson. Writing this tribute speech and learning more about him has been an extremely enjoyable process. I think what I like most about Tyson is he's not going to care what I say up here. So, despite his wife's correction of the initial diagnosis, I'm going to take you on a journey through Tyson's diagnosis of depression. First symptom of the 5 symptoms to diagnose him is his diminished ability to think or concentrate. Tyson grew up in southern Utah, was raised in Escalante, a small, I think I said that right. Thank you. A small farming town in southern Utah. He's the oldest brother of 6 kids, 3 brothers, 2 sisters. Starting out in life as the oldest, he naturally took on the role of the elder brother. Tyson spent many hours helping and teaching little brothers to fish, work, fix motorbikes. Tyson has always been one to help others out. I remember one summer retreat sitting out with Tyson on the river at high sea while he described some of the intricate details of fly fishing to me. and made what I considered a boring activity very enjoyable. I spent more time not fishing with Tyson that night than I had spent fishing since I was a teenager. Tyson started out in life very self-motivated. He used to spend hours filling buckets of worms and selling them for extra money. He has always used hard work to his benefit as well. Tyson sold enough worms and found several jobs, I've been told, to be able to afford clothes and even a motorbike to work on. Tyson was also a state champion wrestler his senior year of high school. He was their first state champion of his high school, and the wrestling program has since been dissolved, so he is actually the only state champion wrestler from his high school. Spending time with them one of his favorite hobbies. It is only fitting that I get to talk about some of Tyson's hobbies here as well. One of the things Tyson looks forward to do after residency is more fishing and hunting. Tyson loves shooting, reloading bullets. He's a master tinker. He loves working on motorbikes and cars, and as I think you heard in one of the other tributes, one of his favorite things to do, interestingly enough, is to go out and collect firewood. He has personally rebuilt multiple chainsaws for that purpose. I think one of the stories is that he and his dad found one out in a dumpster and they rebuilt it and fixed it, and he still uses it today. He enjoys listening to podcasts, and Caitlin says that one of his favorite hobbies is keeping his wife and kids happy. The fourth symptom Tyson has to meet this diagnosis is his feeling of worthlessness. Despite his somber demeanor and appearance, some strengths that best fit Tyson are that he is friendly, composed in times of difficulty, patient, and a great listener. Caitlin has several stories about Tyson's ability to connect with anyone. He has the ability to make people feel comfortable around him, and even if he doesn't seem like it, he does have the gift of gab. He has the ability to relate to people around him. He is told by his patients he understands those that want to be heard and understood. It's part of what makes him such a great physician. Caitlin also says Tyson has a very long fuse. I think that's how she's describing his patience. Although I haven't seen it, I'm told it can eventually burn out. I think we've gotten pretty close some of the nights working on medicine, though. Especially during a migraine, right, Tyson? I've been told there may or may not have been a raccoon attacking the family dog that was able to experience Tyson letting the rage monster out. Tyson is well known for his kindness and charity. Tyson is the natural big brother, always willing to lend a helping hand. He's always happy to share what he has as well. Tyson is known in the neighborhood as the guy with the garden tiller. Every year, he helps the whole neighborhood till their garden. Recently, as Tyson was buying new waders for fly fishing, he felt like his brother needed a pair, so he grabbed him some as well. Tyson is very charitable and has developed some amazing ways to show how much he cares. His fifth symptom is increased fatigue and loss of energy. To finish this up, I asked Caitlin some random questions that also help shape who Tyson is. She described one of his most stressful life events that he encountered was during his neurology section in medical school. She described that Tyson had a very difficult time, and she said it didn't always come natural to him, but he was always able to find ways, and he worked hard and never felt like it was an option to give up. I asked her who she feels influenced him. She reported that his grandpa Robinson was always an inspiration, and when Tyson decided to go into medicine, he was always encouraging. She reported that Tyson's parents have always supported him along the way as well. Tyson is the first physician in his family. I asked Tyson one thing that he was particularly proud of, and I didn't get the whole story, but he told me of a time he was thanked for saving his patient's life more than once, even though Tyson didn't realize he had. All right, I'll finish this up with the 6th diagnosis of recurrent suicidal ideations. Some of the things Tyson is looking forward to the most is the change in his schedule. Caitlin and Tyson look forward to spending a lot more time together. He has a great job lined up in Rangeley, Colorado, and will be able to have a 3-day weekend to fill with fishing and camping. He can't wait to work more on his 1968 Land Cruiser. He was given a box of motorcycle parts that he rebuilt from scratch to work on as well. Caitlin told me she just looks forward to having him home more. I asked Tyson what were some of the purchases he looked forward to getting in the future now that he's finally done with residency. He told me that he would love to be able to buy fancy ice cream and jerky without feeling guilty, and he can't wait for future trips to Alaska. So I wanted to get Tyson started a little bit, so I got him some jerky, and I got him a gift card for Baskin-Robbins. I don't know fancy ice cream, and I don't know jerky, so I did my best. So come on down, Tyson.
That might be the best family picture I have ever seen, so that is impressive. Marcos Valdez. Driven is the word that I have for Marcos. Those of you who've spent the last 3 years from Marcos, you need no explanation about how driven he is. And really, I would say in a good and a bad way, right, Marcos? If there is something he is passionate about, he will either move forward full bore in the positive or the negative. But we have absolutely loved having driven Marcos with us. Dr. Philip Vandergreen, there you are. If you want to come forward and talk to us more about Marcos. Am I advancing or are you? Yeah.
First of all, yes, it's COVID, not allergies. A few caveats because, first of all, I'm the newest, or one of the newest. I am the newest faculty by about a month, maybe. And I was told that this was a slight roast, like a sensitive roast. That is total caca. And I'm going to be talking to some other faculty later. I've only heard nice things, so Marcos, I'm really sorry. You picked me. And to parents and everybody who are here who don't know me, I'm not a jerk, but it's gonna seem like I am. But that's okay, I guess. The other thing also is I was told, and again, I'm new, I was told this is 5 minutes. So I Googled how many words in a 5-minute speech, and then I cut it down so that I could make sure I don't go over. Well, Marcos, you're going to get the short end of the stick in a lot of ways. Again, sorry. Congratulations. So first of all, Marcos, I'd like to say thank you for asking me to speak. And as I said, I'd also like to preemptively apologize for you asking me to speak. Again, I was told this is somewhere on the spectrum of a roast, sort of a sensitive roast, so we'll see how close I get. I don't think I nailed it, but we'll see. So first, and also I totally missed the whole format. So first of all, I think we need to recognize his family, his kids, his wife, and honestly recognize his wife, who is obviously a saint. And I want to thank you for how you've supported him during med school, residency. And I can only pray that he listens to you better than he's listened to us. Honestly, though, when Marcos shared some of his biographical data with me, I was truly impressed with the amount of adversity he overcame to go to med school and to go after his dream. I don't know how many of you know Marcos' story, but he was born in Argentina, right? You sent this to me. Okay, good, thanks. He had come to the U.S., was here on, eventually qualified to stay with DACA when you were 19, right? Give me another week. All right, good, yes. But he had to get temporary citizenship kind of every couple years, and so he never qualified for financial aid as he was going to med school. And so he actually paid for med school by rebuilding cars and then selling them. So along with doing everything you got to do for med school. So that, to me, is very impressive. This is the nicest thing I'm going to say. But that really is. That's a lot of hard work. The amount of hard work and perseverance that you show to pay your way through medical school is truly commendable. And you've continued to demonstrate your work ethic during residency with all the hours that you've put in. And you truly do have worked hard. And you will be a better doctor for all the work that you've put in, all the learning opportunities you've had. It shows the high degree of character, intellect that you had to complete such a feat. And I don't know, honestly, that I could have done it. Yeah, I think in all his pictures he's sleeping. But he did actually work. Like I said, I don't know that I could have done it. Those life experiences will benefit you as you start your career. And confidence is important in medicine. And Marcos, you nailed it, my friend. You have lots of confidence. In fact, if anybody here is struggling with confidence, Marcos has some to spare. Just talk to him, try to shake his hand, rub his belly when he's sleeping. That's probably the best way. So, and although sometimes it was actually sometimes difficult to tell how much of Marcos' attitude and personality is confidence, and how much Marcos just truly did not care about my opinion. It's a fine line. He wrote it. He made it. He wrote it well. And I'd also like to thank you, Marcos, personally, for teaching me humility continually. This is the gift that you've given. Marcos plans to practice in Price, Utah, doing full spectrum family medicine and surgical B and C sections. And he will no doubt be a huge asset to the community. They're fortunate to have such a hardworking and intelligent doctor who is serving their community on top of being a superstar full spectrum doctor in the community. He's also planning to regularly work for a free clinic in Midvale, Utah, which was the only place that he could actually start to do some volunteering when he was pre-med because of his citizenship status. And that's very honorable, Marcos. And I know what you're all thinking. Yeah, I know. I thought he was a jerk too. And turns out he's actually a good guy. Wow, he's practically a saint, huh? Who knew? But in all sincerity, and here's, I guess, nice part number 3. In all sincerity, I really have enjoyed getting to know you, Marcos, in my first year working here. And I've had fun working with him. I've enjoyed his ability to give me a hard time as much as his ability to take a good ribbing. And as hard of a time as I have just given you, you really are very intelligent, very well-read. And I appreciate your willingness to ask questions, your desire to become a better doctor. So be confident, huh? And I know he will be, but you will be a great doctor. Price, Utah is lucky. Congratulations, Marcos. Well done. Come on down. Don't worry, we'll wait.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Marcos. So this is our very first graduation for our very first RTT graduate. And so Dr. A.J. Weinhold, if you would like to come forward, she is the program director for the Rural Training Track up in Rexburg, and I will let her speak for a moment and introduce the graduate.
This is the first time we're doing this. We're super excited. Brandon was talking about the 3 legs that build up the residency, and I have to tell you that for us it's 5, because our graduate starts, Colby did his first year here in Pocatello, and then he moves away, and he goes up to Rexburg, and he gets embraced by the medical community in Rexburg. So we work with the Madison Memorial Hospital, and we work with the Fall River Family Medicine and Urgent Care Clinic to embed our residents in that community. I became the program director right as Colby moved to Rexburg and as COVID happened. So I didn't actually even get to go to Rexburg for the first year and a half. They were having outbreaks and ISU curtailed travel and all sorts of things. But we are so happy, so proud. Last week, we got to gather with the Rexburg medical community and celebrate Colby, and we're really happy to be here tonight to celebrate him as well. So I'll introduce Austin Gillette, who is our site director, and will be giving his tribute.
Was his word loyal? Was that?
Yes, it was.
All right. I can think of several other words that I would have chosen. Most of them are 4 letters. I'm going to try to do this without crying. I am not going to try to do this without being offensive, because I'm going to offend some people. I'm going to try to primarily offend Colby. But if you're offended, that's on you. All right. And Colby, if you try a Will Smith on me up here, I'm going to put you down. I am packing. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. So, Dr. Brower has been very interesting and awesome and terrible and all of that in Rexburg, and I think he's been that his whole life. One thing about Colby is he really, really likes to do procedures. I think he likes medicine. He loves procedures. And he watches the schedule at the clinic like a hawk, and he will show up in the clinic for stuff that's going on, and I had no idea he had anything that he knew anything about. It'll be like he'll pop up like a meerkat at the nurse's station. He'll pop up like this, and we haven't seen him in days, and he's like, "Hey, I see you have a vasectomy. Thanks for letting me do it." And I'm like, "I thought you were in Ogden. It's like 3:30 on a Tuesday," and I don't know how he got out of some of his rotations, but we obviously did not supervise him as well as we should have. On one of these days, we were doing a vasectomy, or I was going to be doing a vasectomy, and Colby had showed up, and I think he had a headache or something, and then the nurse had laid out some Valium for a patient that was going to have his vasectomy, and Colby thought it was ibuprofen, and he popped a couple of Yeah, it's true, and I couldn't let him help with the vasectomy. So he was detoxing in room 1. While that's going on, I'm doing the vasectomy in room 3, and the nurses took the opportunity to ask him some interview questions. I'm going to sprinkle some of those in. He's famously really crazy coming out of anesthesia, and you should talk to Robin sometime about that. Brenda's probably got some good stories too. I'm going to start with one of the interview questions, and again, I'm going to be offending people, so buckle up. So the first question was, Dr. Brower, what is your opinion on the use of natural remedies and essential oils? This is what he said.
Uranium. These are naturally occurring. You know what's natural? Arsenic, cyanide, uranium. These are naturally occurring elements. Okay? Freaking hippies.
Well, Colby was born to Brenda and Todd Brower on September 28, 1988 at Madison Memorial Hospital of all places. At the time, his parents lived in the tiny community of Wilford, Idaho. He was 5 pounds 7 ounces, and he was a bit of a runt. He met all of the definitions of IUGR, and in fact, during the last few weeks of Brenda's pregnancy, Colby had lost several pounds, making that, in fact, the last time Colby has shrunk in size. Colby was asked about what his thoughts are on childhood vaccinations, and this was his response.
Vaccinate your spawn.
Despite his meager beginnings, he was a vigorous kid and played lots of sports. He grew up on a farm and enjoyed doing all of the things that farm kids do. I'd relate some stories, but he would probably get in trouble, I'm sure. Needless to say, he liked getting his hands dirty and playing in the dirt. His father and mother passed the love of horses and animals on to him, and as a child, he participated in 4-H and raised pigs and animals and sold those at the county fair. His first expressed interest in a profession was being a whale trainer at SeaWorld, and that eventually changed. But when he was 5 years old, Colby was riding horses with a cousin, I believe, and he fell off and he suffered a laceration to his face. I think the scar is still visible. I haven't seen that for sure. I do know that the effects of the TBI are still visible, especially in his disinhibited behaviors that we sometimes see. Other injuries as a youth include breaking both ankles playing football, and rumor has it he was doing cartwheels in front of the cheerleaders, so not really playing football. He broke his nose water skiing, and despite these injuries and his propensity to get hurt, his parents still thought it was okay for him to participate in rodeo. So Colby was a rodeo kid, and we'll talk a little bit about that. This was Colby's response to what it's like being a resident in 2022. Or maybe not.
The patients think we're having this great life and we're playing golf and we're eating cake. There's no cake, people. There's just feces and stool and administrators and government, everybody up in our exhaust port, up in our metal grill, telling us what to do. I ain't got time for it no more.
I can't tell you how many times I heard that from him. Oh my goodness. Well, Colby was a rodeo kid. He did steer wrestling, he roped, he wanted to ride rough stock, but his mom kind of put the axe to that one. There were a couple of mishaps when he was learning to steer wrestle. The first one was on day 1. So Colby shows up, he doesn't know what steer wrestling is. He shows up in a wrestling singlet, you know, like one of those leotards that wrestlers wear. I think we have a picture here somewhere. We'll see if we can find that. It's either that or we've got another good one for you, Colby, I'm sure. His second mishap was as he was learning. If you've seen steer wrestling, you have a chute, and on either side of the chute, you've got riders, you know, and the steer wrestlers on one side, and you have another person on the other side, and the steer will come out and the two riders go alongside, and the person wrestling the steer jumps off, grabs the steer by the horns, flips it over. And I don't know how much Colby had been doing, but apparently something happened with the steer. It stopped, or it went off to the side, and he just jumped off where the steer was supposed to be and landed, right on the ground. And they said, like, Colby, what were you doing? And he just said, I made the decision. I was getting off that horse no matter what, so I just did it. So thank goodness he got a lot better at still wrestling, and he actually competed at a very high level and was very good at it. He had several horses growing up, and one of his favorite horses was named Face Paint. Let's see, Dr. Brower, what was one of, what's your opinion on naturopaths?
Okay, I'm going to ask you right now, what is going on with naturopaths? Okay, if I give out 13 herbs and spices to try to cure disease, I'm not a naturopath. I'm the freaking Colonel. I'm Colonel Sanders, okay? I make Kentucky Fried Chicken, and yet the same person somehow calls themselves doctor.
Again, not my words. All right. So Colby moved pipe as a youth, which is a rite of passage when you grow up on a farm. However, he attempted to use that to propel him in the business world. On a resume, he listed that job, and this was really good. I wish I would have thought of this. As he listed his pipe moving job as a hydroaluminum transportation technician. I wish I would have thought about that. That's great. I was called a beat whore. All right. Colby, growing up, loved to be in plays and in the theater. He's a very good singer, and he was in several plays and sang in the choir. He performed in Les Mis, in The Music Man, Bye Bye Birdie, and others in significant roles as well. One of his best friends and his future wife, Robin, joined him on stage in several of those performances. They knew each other starting in junior high. And I've heard that he's actually really, really good, and this is no joke, really good at opera. And I'd like to hear that at some point. He's had multiple performances of singing opera, and he does really, really well. And he's obviously very dramatic. Despite being a performance erudite, Colby enjoyed sports, including basketball, football, and baseball. He was an early bloomer, so he started out a little bit bigger than most of the kids. They eventually caught up to him. By the time he was a junior in high school, he was no longer maybe one of the bigger basketball players, and so he gave up the basketball and played in the pep band. He played the electric guitar, and his wife, Robin, actually played the trombone, and so they got to do that together as well. After high school, let's see, Colby, you were a September birthday. So you would have been one of the older kids in your class at most schools. But you went to South Fremont, right? So, I mean, there were 20-year-olds and stuff like that at South. So regardless, when Colby was done, he was one of the older kids. He was eligible for an LDS mission. He served faithfully and from all regards as an excellent missionary in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania mission. Served in multiple eastern states. And at the end of his mission, he stayed a little bit longer and helped them split the mission. From what I understand, he was a great asset there. It was on his mission where he developed a little bit of his interest in the medical profession, and I believe his mission president was instrumental in encouraging him in that regard, and said something to the effect of, usually the hard road is the right decision. Neither Robin nor his mother was very excited about his interest in medicine. Both being nurses, they tried to convince him not to do that. But when he came home, he had decided, this is kind of what I'm going to do. So After returning home from his mission, it didn't take long for Robin and Colby to reignite their flames. And within 2 months of being home, Colby and Robin were engaged to be married. The screening process was not very good at college at that time, not very rigorous. So despite graduating from South Fremont, he was still accepted to undergraduate at BYU, Idaho, where he studied biology and chemistry. Did very well despite the South Fremont thing, but he did very well. He worked as an adjunct professor for a time before going to medical school. He was accepted to several medical schools. He ended up choosing University of Washington. That's where he found his place. They had 2 children in Rexburg prior to medical school. And they participated as well in the trust program, meaning through University of Washington that they traveled around a lot and they had to live in multiple locations. So the Browers lived in Moscow and then back to Seattle. They went to, or then to St. Anthony and then Seattle, which Colby really loved Seattle. Twin Falls, Billings, Montana, St. Anthony again, Pocatello, and finally now back in Sugar City. The report is that Colby is still really conflicted about moving to the rival school district in Sugar City, but he has been happy to learn that unlike South Fremont, at least at Sugar City, most of the kids and the teachers have teeth, and they learn to read and write there. Colby was excited about residency in the rural training tract, and in all honesty, he has been the perfect person for us in Rexburg to be our inaugural resident. He's done an excellent job. His personality is such that it's really hard to embarrass Colby. It's really hard for him to not feel comfortable wherever he's at, and there were times where it was not somewhat, but really chaotic in Rexburg trying to put preceptors in a position where they could do a good job with him, and they felt uncomfortable, but Colby just jumped right in, and he did a great job in blazing the trail, and we'll have a lot of residents that are going to reap the benefits of following behind Colby Brower. So a couple little tidbits about Colby. He is obsessed with shirts that have snaps, and that probably has to do with the cowboy in him. He has a history of saying inappropriate things, not only when he's coming out of anesthesia. The gift that he gave me, let's see, you remember that gift for Christmas when you first came to Rexburg? So he gave me a bag, a gift of cleaning supplies. It had toilet paper, it had poopery, you know, the stuff you spray in the toilet, right? The caption on the front of it said, "Ho, ho, holy," remember that? What a great year. Thanks for making this year not stink so bad. Merry Christmas from the Browers. So definitely irreverent, but I think Colby has been an awesome addition to our staff or to our practice in Rexburg. Some of his best attributes are his genuineness, that he's comfortable in his own skin, that he really cares about other people, and I mean, this is the part I'm going to cry. I really mean that. I think there's few physicians that I've seen demonstrate the type of ability to get on a one-on-one level with patients, and Colby Brower is able to do that. I've asked him what the theme song for his life would be, and he said, "Much Too Young to Feel This Damn Old" by Garth Brooks. But his wife, I think, gave a better theme song for Colby, and I had never heard this song before. I'm not going to sing it. I'll bet he could. It's called "A Simple Life," and it's by Ricky Skaggs. I'm just going to read a few lyrics. It says, "I live a simple life. I work all day, I sleep all night. A couple kids that need a nap, a big dog and a little cat. Wife barks but rarely bites, so I live the simple life. My favorite book was wrote about a man that died to save my soul. And my favorite thing to hear is, "Daddy, I'm so glad you're home." And my favorite woman is 5'3", with long blonde hair and blue eyes. Still, I live a simple life. Colby is someone who we would call an old soul. Like I said, he was a perfect inaugural candidate at our program. He blazed the trail that others will follow. And if all residents were just like him, we'd probably close the program. I'd like to end on this one thing I can truly say about Colby Brower. He is the best graduate we've ever had in the rural tract. There's no close second. Come on down.
So we have the only state champion wrestler, and we have the best graduate of the RTT. Pretty good group tonight. So, AJ, if you want to come forward, AJ has a couple of kind of graduates from our areas of concentration that she will tell us about and announce.
So in my other time, I get to direct the wilderness medicine area of concentration, which is now in its third year graduating residents. And for me, this is a joy. And I just wanted to share with you some of what these residents do on their own time, outside of the hospital. They join the National Ski Patrol. They train with the National Ski Patrol, learning how to take an unstable standing person and put a backboard on them. It's actually kind of a trick. They learn how to lower other people out of chairlifts. They learn how to get themselves lowered out of a chairlift. This was actually useful this year. Our chairlift failed and we had to evacuate about 60-something people off the chairlift. It was no fun. In addition to ski patrol shifts, and if you haven't guessed yet, this is all about Buck Courtney. Buck has skied the heck out of the Bunny Hill. And the one time I took him up on the upper mountain, I abandoned him. Our residents also joined the Wilderness Medical Society. Thanks to COVID, we did a virtual conference watch party at my house. That is the residents doing their own blood typing in my movie theater. It was fun. We enjoy ourselves. Buck had the opportunity to speak at ISU's emergency medicine conference that they put on for regional EMS providers. So that's him officially in the program. And that's him standing on the big stage. This presentation began one time with my brother. So if you ever want to ask Buck stories about things that happens with his brother, they are many. This particular one involved motorcycles and the backcountry and a pneumothorax and the butterfly in his pocket. We also got to go to a real live conference together in Jackson. Yes. There was work that was done, I promise. This was Buck letting me do acupressure on his ear. There's that picture again. But yeah, I'm really proud to acknowledge Buck for the work that he did in his spare time, skiing the Bunny Hill, all of those things, working on his wilderness medicine area of concentration. Everything he did was for credit with the Wilderness Medical Society, and he has 3 more years to continue his work and get his fellowship in the Academy of Wilderness Medicine. Congratulations. and then I get to keep talking. I am also the director of our Advanced Surgical Obstetrics Training Track. We have one graduate this year who completed the Advanced Surgical Obstetrics Training Track. That's Marcos Valdez. He's not up there anymore. Where'd he go?
Probably an OB patient.
Yeah, it was probably an OB patient. So I don't have any pictures of Marcos delivering babies or, because we tend not to take pictures in the OR. So these are pictures of Marcos training to deliver babies. But I have to report to you, this is what he logged, which he told me the other day is actually not completely accurate because once he reached the numbers that he needed for his privileging down in price, he quit logging things. Residents, that is not an example. But Marcos logged a total of 269 deliveries. He assisted in 80 C-sections. He logged that he personally primarily was the surgeon on 75 C-sections, and he tells me that that number is actually closer to 89. He did over 100 standard deliveries, and he logged 26 patients who were continuity deliveries, meaning that he had some sort of relationship with that patient before he delivered their baby. As we said, Marcos is going to Price, Utah, where he is going to be doing full spectrum surgical obstetrics, volunteering at the free clinic, giving back to his community in huge ways, and we are so proud. And he will have to get his certificate afterwards because he didn't get to hear me bragging about him. But we are really proud of him.
So we had some awards that were presented yesterday, and so those are kind of up there for your information. If the graduates want to come forward that are going to be presenting the awards that we have today, and then I think Tafa, you were going to come forward with the pharmacy award. If you guys want to come forward, and I will turn the time over to you, Tafa, if you want to go first with the pharmacy award.
Hi everybody, I'm Tafa. I plug in HDMI cables and try to sing karaoke, as you saw before. So I'm here to present the Pharmacy Preceptor of the Year Award. When we were choosing this person, we wanted to present this award to someone who exemplifies pharmacy practice, is an amazing role model, was a fantastic teacher, and was really, really easy to work with. And with that being said, this year's Pharmacy Preceptor of the Year is Andrea Brooks. He's grabbing her award.
Hello. I get the pleasure to give a little bit of gratitude to a lot of the folks that have made us, helped us get through this journey, and there's like a lot of moving parts and a lot of people that have done that. I think actually our whole class is supposed to be down here, so could all...
Well, we need, we need to do we have a couple awards we need you guys to do first, and then your...
Before the, why not? Yeah, okay.
We usually just do your grad, we've just got...
All right.
That's just as far as slide-wise, so sorry.
Which one's first?
Oh, you've got that, you can, okay.
So This is our class award. It's given to typically a non-faculty member who does the best outpatient or inpatient teaching overall. And this year, the person we elected to give this award to is Dr. Peter Jones. Dr. Jones, are you here?
She's not here.
The next award on there is Dr. Kathleen Evans. Unfortunately not here tonight, but she was our Inpatient Teaching Award nomination. So we'll give her a hand. And our nomination for Maternal Child Care Teaching Award is Dr. Cox. Is Dr. Cox here? I don't think so. We can give him a hand. Our award for Best Teaching in Inpatient Nursing goes to Darren Jensen. Is Darren here? Okay, well, thank you, Darren. Appreciate you. And our next award is for our Best Outpatient Teaching Award in our clinic, and that goes to Dr. Jonathan Cree. Is Dr. Cree here? Thank you, Dr. Cree. And this next award actually has a name associated with it that I like to read. It's the Robert Rush Humanities Award, and this award goes to a candidate who possesses unqualified empathy for those you take care of and insight into your role as a physician, that you look beyond your day-to-day clinical world to find beauty and serve your community. And our nominee for the Robert Rush Humanities Award goes to Dr. Zachary Warnock. And I think we went first on this one, but congratulations to Andrea. We have one more, though, we wanted to give out. This is to a person who I think had a strong influence, or another word you might use is muscular influence, on my decision to rank this program highly when we were interviewing here 4 years ago. Really clear to us as residents that he cares strongly about our experience here and about the mission of the program to provide high-quality physicians to rural Idaho. He's a great example of how to practice medicine. He can quote the literature to you. He's involved in medical policy making, particularly at the state level. In addition to that, he works out a lot. And I don't just mean his mind. He makes all the other program directors look like a bunch of skinny nerds. The award for the most swole program director goes to Dr. Brandon Mickelson.
Yes, that's going in my office.
I think, do we ask the rest of the class to come down now?
Graduates, come forward, please.
Yeah.
Join him.
So, as I was mentioning earlier, a lot of moving parts, a lot of people that teach us and don't get recognized. Try to hit a few people here more tonight, but we just want to let you know that we all appreciate you, anybody who has helped us out along the way. I'm going to start with our Health West staff, particularly our administrative staff. I think there's a bunch of you over there. Sarah, Caitlin's up front taking pictures. Renee, Lori, Greg, Casey, and any other Health West administrative or Health West staff that I've missed. Could you guys all please stand up? We should give them a round of applause. The next people I'd like to thank are all of our Health West clinical faculty. I think there's a good showing tonight. Could you guys please stand up? Any faculty at Health West? We have no faculty here. I was going to say, I see a few of them out there. Yeah, ISU, sorry.
ISU residency faculty.
My bad. And the next group is all of our community faculty and our specialty faculty, anybody that hosts a resident in your clinic for any reason. If you could please stand up, and we'd like to recognize you. And then lastly but not least, the family of the graduates, spouses, children, parents. I've heard several of my co-residents, their wives refer to themselves as residency widows. So I know we couldn't do it without all of you, so could all the family members please stand up and we'll recognize you. Anybody else you guys would like to recognize? Well, again, thank you very much. We really appreciate all the support. I'm glad to see you all.
All right, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you sharing your loved ones with us for the last 1 to 3 years. I appreciate the comments that have been made tonight, and that is the end of our graduation, so thank you.